Our next question comes from Byron Brown from WJTV.
Justice, you have said that you want to change the tax structure a little bit to generate some revenue, particularly when it deals with infrastructure. Explain that tax you're talking about and how that would help, particularly when it talk about a gas tax. What are you talking about there?
Good. Well, just as President Reagan said in 1982, a user fee or gas tax is the absolute fairest way of dealing with roads and infrastructure. In fact, they just had the Delta Council meeting up in Cleveland. The president of UPS, that's got 400,000 vehicles on the road, said that a user fee is the best way to do that. Now, I'm a conservative, and we've got to do that in recognition of that. There was a proposal in the special session that involved raising user fees or gas tax with an offset on the state income tax. Would eliminate the middle bracket, the 4% bracket, so that the state income tax would be 3% up to 5%. A beautiful way of handling taxes that have lesser impact. The problem with the special session bill is 15 to 20% of the motorists in the state are from out of state. Under the special session bill that was passed, they pay nothing. And that is absolutely, that's inappropriate, and the people that use the road need to pay it. So there will be user fees involved, but I'm conservative. We're going to figure out a way to actually minimize the impact on the taxpayer, but we have to do something with our roads. We've got approaching $4 billion of roads and failing bridges and coverage issues that we have, and that we'll never approach with the legislation that we have.
Break that down when we talk about numbers. Are we looking at 10 cents, 20 cents more a gallon? What are you looking at?
The proposal by Representative Busby that was killed involved 12 cents a gallon, 3 cents a year, up over 4 years, up to a maximum of 12, with an income tax offset with that. And that would allow sufficient revenue to take care of our failing bridges, our roads, and provide some new coverage options, because infrastructure is the basic framework for any kind of development. It's a right to life issue. People traveling the road, accessed by ambulances. Farmers, I talked to a farmer that's not going to be able to access his fields in Calhoun County because they posted 2 bridges that his trucks can't even go over now. I talked to a superintendent of education in Jones County, has to give vouchers to his parents, some of his parents, because of school buses. So we've got a near crisis, and I think we've got to step up and do that. So that's the proposal: a tax swap, 12 cents a gallon, implemented over 4 years.
So the average Mississippian can look at a few more dollars to fill up their car.
You know, you have that much fluctuation week to week in fuel costs, and ours is the lowest in the nation. It was compared to Florida, which has toll roads to the bathroom. Theirs is 41 cents a gallon. Ours is 18 now. So we've got a long way to go. And
Justice Waller, I'm afraid your time is up.
Thank you.
We'll go now to Representative Foster. We'll give you 2 60-second periods for rebuttal. The first one on the general tax question.
Yeah, generally in tax, you need to look at having a tax structure that's business friendly, that provides the revenue needed to take care of your infrastructure, your schools, your police stations, your fire stations. Mississippi was just ranked by the Tax Foundation as 31 of 50, meaning we have one of the worst tax structures for business in the entire United States of America. We're ranked down with California, New York, New Jersey. We need to look at states around us that are doing things much better. You look at states like Tennessee, Texas, and Florida, 3 states that I like to look at. They have a use tax-based economy, which is similar to what we were talking about here with a gas tax instead of an income tax, which is what we have in Mississippi. There's a very small percentage of people that are paying into the income tax in Mississippi. It's one of the most regressive forms of taxation out there, and it does not provide a fair way of taxing, because there's a lot of people out there that are not paying the income tax, but they're using the roads, they're using the bridges, and everything else infrastructure-wise in our state. So I propose that we repeal our personal income tax, phase it out over a period of years, and go up a little bit on our gas tax and a little bit on our sales tax to put us in line with Tennessee, Texas, and Florida, who are all 3 ranked in the top 20, where we're ranked in the bottom 20, because it's just as important that the way you tax versus how much you tax.
And we will also give you 60 seconds rebuttal on the specific follow-up question regarding a gas tax.
Yes, so if if we have a cut in the personal income tax, I'm fully supportive of then having an increase in the fuel tax, because then even the drug dealer on the street corner is going to pay their fair share for the roads they drive on every day when they go to the gas pump. People driving through our state as tourists will as well, and it won't be put on the backs of just the working class Mississippians who are footing the bill for the entire state right now, and that is not the best way to tax.
Thank you. We'll move on now to the next question, this one for you, Representative Foster. What qualifications and vision for the future specifically set you apart from your two Republican opponents? You have 2 minutes.
I believe my background running a business the last 14 years is what sets me apart from my opponents. Being inside politics and inside a position of government for too long gives you a set of a tunneled vision that does not allow you to understand what the regular people of Mississippi are going through and facing. I look at things much differently because I've been struggling running a business just like every other small business owner through all the government regulations, all the overtaxation, and I understand what needs to be done to help our economy. Our tax structure needs to be reworked to be a more competitive tax structure with surrounding states, a more conservative tax structure. And our educational system needs to be restructured in a way where we give our young people the opportunity to learn a skilled trade so that when they get out into the workforce, businesses have somebody that can actually be productive in their business and they don't have to start teaching them from the ground up the day they walk in. Those two things alone will make a significant impact on our economy moving forward. And I think my understanding of that is very unique in this race, and I have a perspective that sets me apart.
Justice Waller, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
I think just looking at my career and the 21 years on the Supreme Court, we look for innovative ways to improve life. For instance, our e-filing system. The state of Mississippi is the only state in the nation that uses the federal e-filing system. We have the best in the nation, and we got it at zero cost to the taxpayers. In fact, we did all of our code and software changes in-house. The system is in the courthouse. That's good government. That's when citizens can appreciate that, and that's the way I like to operate. Or expanding drug courts across the state that are so important in giving people a second chance, in rehabilitation, in returning citizens instead of putting them in jail, returning them to be responsible citizens, reuniting families, and saving a minimum of $36 million a year. That's the way I like to do business, and with my record, that sets me apart because I've been there and I've done some things and I've led a branch of government.
Thank you, Justice Waller. We'll move on to our next question now from Courtney Carter from Y'all Politics.
Justice Waller, many of our rural hospitals are at risk of closing due to us not taking Medicaid expansion. Now, Mississippi passed on almost $10 billion in federal money over the past decade due to our current leadership not being open-minded on this topic. Now, our neighboring states, Louisiana and Arkansas, have expanded with positive results. What is your position on Medicaid expansion in Mississippi to help our hospitals remain open, enable hospital employees to keep their jobs, and offer the ability for the working poor to obtain health insurance?
I have that is one of the main reasons that I entered the race. I have embraced Medicaid reform, much like Vice President Mike Pence did in Indiana when he was governor there. We have to do it. I have met with the staff here at the Southwest Medical Center. I have met with the director of the Magnolia Hospital, which is one of the ones on the danger list. We've got 31 rural hospitals in danger of closing now. We've had several that have filed bankruptcy, that have been closed. A functioning, healthy hospital is the background of our economy. We've got 115 hospitals in this state, over 60,000 employees. They're good employees, but more than that, we have to have accessible health care. So I absolutely support, I think the Mississippi Cares Plan that has been proposed by the Hospital Association is a good start. We need to look at it. It offers budget neutral, no tax money to have it. Mississippi looks to receive $1 billion. And I think that's where we can save our hospitals. We can do conservative principles with policy payments, with work requirements. We can have that so that those participating have skin in the game. This would actually incentivize people in the workforce because this moves it up to 138% of the poverty level. Probably the people that serve you in a restaurant or part-time workers or agriculture workers, if we can get them seeing regular primary physicians, control their blood pressure, their diabetes, we could actually enliven and strengthen and enlarge the workforce is what I would like to see. Our workforce participation rate is 55%. I want to move that up, and this is absolutely a no-loss proposition, no tax money, skin in the game for those providing it, health for our hospitals. There's no downside.
Representative Foster, you have 60 seconds for rebuttal.
Thank you. I'm adamantly opposed to Obamacare, and if I were running for the U.S. Senate, then I would be running on the platform of fully repealing the ACA, but I am not. I am running for governor of the state of Mississippi, and taking that into account, I have to come to the table with solutions to the problems facing our state. The federal government messed up health care really bad. They sent us a lot of lemons. We have to look at it from a state perspective and say, how can we make lemonades out of these lemons? What can we do to help the people in our state that are suffering and the hospitals that are closing all over our state? We have to take the policies they've sent us and make the most conservative, best decisions we can to try to help with that. And I look at it like this. There is 300,000 working people in our state. They work, they pay taxes, and there's a lot of people that don't work. They take advantage of the system and they get a free handout from the government. But those people that are working, that are trying to do the right thing, we have to try to find a way for them to be able to put skin in the game and have an option to get health care coverage other than walking into the emergency room. Walking into the emergency room ends up putting all the taxpayers on footing the bill anyway, but we foot it at the highest rate possible, and it's bankrupting our hospitals all over the state. And so we have to reform Medicaid. There is no other option until the federal government sends us something else.
Thank you, Representative Foster. We will stay with Representative Foster for our next question from Byron Brown from WJTV.
Representative Foster, some of our cities are dealing with crime issues and crime problems. What role do you believe that the governor's office should play, if any, when it comes at it, or should it stay at a local level, and when it comes to crime and also with some mental health issues that the police officers are dealing with?
Well, we definitely need to support police officers every way that we possibly can. They have a very, very tough job, and it's even tougher in 2019 with all the cell phone cameras out there and everybody trying to give them a hard time for doing a very, very tough job. And the second thing that we need to do in the state of Mississippi is crack down on certain city governments that are refusing to abide by federal immigration laws. And we in the city of Jackson and Mississippi have that very situation taking place, where they are not reporting people when they catch them when they know that they're illegal, and they need to do so. And if they don't, then we need to hit them where it counts with withholding funds from them until they do the right thing, because it is imperative that we uphold the law and that we make sure that the people in this state are here legally and that we don't have anybody out there committing crimes that shouldn't even be in this country to begin with.
Thank you, Representative Foster. Justice Waller, you have 60 seconds.
You must start with cooperation between the law enforcement entities. We all have to work together this. One disconnect that we have in the system now is a lack of funding for Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics. They're about 60% strength, and with the Mississippi Crime Lab. They only have 2 pathologists out of the 5. I spoke with an under sheriff in Rankin County waiting a year on an autopsy. They're having to wait 6 months or longer just for simple drug tests. So the first thing that we need to do for timely and effective law enforcement is to support the law enforcement. So we need to work together jointly. We need to have we need to plus up, fully staff the Narcotics Bureau and the Crime Lab and support our law enforcement officers, which I intend to do as governor. Thank you.
And for our final question, we'll start with Justice Waller. Courtney Carter.
Justice Waller, it has been argued that Governor Bryant has made a lifelong Republican impact on this state, one that will long outlast his 8 years. What do you intend to do, if elected, to continue those Republican principles?
Well, I'm a conservative Republican, but I intend for the government to be for all of the people, and I think that it's important to have a Republican governor because of the Republican House and the Republican Senate and the largely Republican cabinet, and I intend to work closely with them. But this is for all the people, and I think that every Republican representative, senator, a government official that we have is interested in that. And so as governor, I want to lead to have the most effective government that is inclusive and does the most for all of the citizens in the state. So I'm going to be there in the legislature working with them. I'm going to be with the different department heads. I'm going to be inspecting things. I'm going to be talking to people to make sure that government is effective, that it's transparent, and it's responsive to all the citizens.
Representative Foster, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
Thank you. One thing I'm definitely going to do is I'm going to continue to protect our Second Amendment rights. That's something that Republicans believe wholeheartedly. And I'm going to continue to protect the life of the unborn. And I'm going to do that in a way that I have not seen done by a lot of Republicans in the past, is that I'm going to push back against the federal government. The overreach from the U.S. Supreme Court there's nothing in the United States Constitution that gives them the authority to tell a state that we have to allow babies to be murdered in our state. And so I'm going to push back against them the same way liberal Democrat governors have when they have refused to follow federal immigration policy, when they have refused to follow federal drug policies. I'm going to push back and resist their overreach, and I'm going to shut down their last remaining abortion clinic in Mississippi, and I'm going to make sure that Republican values and that we put that God is put first in our state in everything that we do.
Thank you very much. We'll go now to closing statements from the candidates. And again, as judged by the coin toss at the beginning, we'll start with you, Justice Waller. You
Very
have
good.
2 minutes.
Very good. Healthy Mississippi, you start with the head, and we must have a healthy education system, and I intend to close that 1,000 teacher gap loss. I intend to recruit and have good pay for our teachers. Secondly, you got to have a healthy heart. Our hospitals have got to be healthy. We can't stand to do without the Magnolia Hospital here, or the one in Gloucester, or the one in Columbia that's on the danger list. We need to have healthy hospitals so businesses are located, so that if you have a severe injury, you can be stabilized at a local hospital before you go to one of the major trauma centers. So that is imperative. And lastly, we've got to have arteries in this state. That's the roads and bridges that we have. Right now in Pike County, they've got 7 bridges that are closed in the emergency fund. They only got 1 of them being repaired right now. That's unacceptable. We have got to have an aggressive bridge program so we can safely travel to work, to school, so that our businesses can operate, our farmers can farm, and that Mississippi can move forward. And with these things, just like Arkansas had a $200 million surplus, they had 5 times the population growth. And the difference between them and us is they had Medicaid reform, they have a highway program, and they pay their teachers. And I think we could see an almost immediate positive result for all Mississippians. We can keep people here, and we can all be proud of the state we're in that we have. So Bill Waller for governor, thank you for allowing me to be here with you this evening.
Representative Foster, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming out here this evening, and thank my wife again for making the long trip down. And when I ran for the state legislature 4 years ago, I like to joke and say I messed up and won, because when I got down to Jackson, my eyes were opened wide to the reasons why Mississippi has been held back economically for so long. We have the greatest potential. We have one of the greatest locations for commerce in the United States of America. We're centrally located. We've got the Tom Bigby in the northeast. We've got a huge interstate crossroads where I'm from in the northwest. We've got all the commerce of the Mississippi down the west side. And we've got some amazing ports on the Gulf Coast. We've got some of the hardest working, most God-fearing people in the nation living in our state. But we're being held back economically because we've had career politicians running our state for far too long. And it's time that we put somebody in the office of governor that understands business and that can look at our state's economy from a different perspective and get us on a different path and shake things up just a little bit. And that is something that I will do, because I don't owe anybody any favors, and I haven't made any promises to anybody during this election. The only promise I have made is this one that I will make to everyone here listening and everyone that's out there listening tonight, that if you will honor me with your vote on August 6th in the Republican primary, that I will put God first in everything that I do, and I will do what is in the best interest of all Mississippians. Thank you.
This will conclude the gubernatorial debate portion of the evening, with our thanks to Justice Bill Waller Jr. and Representative Robert Foster for attending here tonight.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.